Welcome back. This is part 2 of 7 years later. What has happened in the last 7 years since I closed my counseling practice? So last time I talked to you about how those first 4 years were very much dominated by a lot of chronic health issues, like severe vertigo, acid reflux. I had hip impingement syndrome. I got shingles during COVID. So just a lot of chronic health issues that just made it really hard for me to even get through the day, let alone try to advance a career of any kind. So now I'm going to explain more about what happened. I mean, still in those 4 years, but primarily in the last 3 years. And I have my computer here because I have some notes to help keep me on track. So I'll be checking those to make sure that I'm saying all the things I want to say. So we talked about how I was dealing with health issues. Okay, so my health started improving and I was getting more stable in my body, which I thought that was going to be like the end of the hard part. I thought it was going to get easier. I mean, yes, I hadn't been getting good jobs. I hadn't been getting like calls back. So that was concerning, but still I was so relieved to be healthier and to be able to eat food and to have gained back weight and to be able to sleep lying down sometimes. All those things were really big wins for me. So I thought it was going to be a lot easier the next, whatever was next. But unfortunately, it was not. The next 3 years, I had kind of a new set of challenges or more challenges that were different. So I lost, I had a hard time getting jobs, number one, but I also lost jobs. I job hopped a lot. So that was very stressful. I lost relationships, friendships. I lost family members. So a lot of still destruction in my life, a lot of reorganizing. Something I used to talk about with clients is this idea of a snow globe. When you shake a snow globe and all the snow goes everywhere and then it takes a while for everything to settle. That's what my life has been like the last 7 years. I closed my practice, I quit counseling, I didn't renew my license, I sent back my board certification, and all the things that happened after that was very much like a restructuring of my life and slowly waiting for all the pieces to settle, but in a new way, in a new order. So because it was so hard for me to find work, that was really hard, and I questioned myself so much, because up until that point, I had viewed myself as a really successful person and somebody who achieves goals and who does things that are difficult, that take diligence and years of working on something. And I had these degrees which I told were valuable and shows that I'm educated and capable, and then to not be getting jobs, which I just recently learned actually this past week or two from a Harvard Business School study that the AI systems screeners that, I think up to 75% of employers were using were just, accidentally screening out millions of highly qualified applicants. I mean, I knew the system was broken. I knew something was wrong, that I am very capable and highly qualified for so many jobs, but yet was getting none. I knew something was wrong, but now to have it validated with a study, it feels like I'm not crazy. All the gaslighting, hate it, hate the gaslighting. But yeah, that was a really hard space to be in, not having that financial security and not hearing back And then, I was getting financial help from my family at that time. And for them, I think they thought I was just lying and bullshitting. So yeah, that was really tough. Let me look at my notes. Okay, so essentially, when you leave behind an identity that you've built for years, at least for me, there was not a new identity immediately waiting. So it wasn't just like my job, my career. It was my belief system. It was unlearning lessons that I taught that got me into that career that were maladaptive. It was like, how do I be and act in relationships? Because in hindsight, what got me to a career in counseling was essentially, it was a trauma response career in hindsight. It was following the role that I was given within my family system. That was my role. I was the person that moderated the emotional energy that was the counselor. That's what I was. And so that's what excuse me, hold on. So that's what I continued to be. The primary messages that I remember being told is that you're the helper, you're so helpful, you're a good listener. But I didn't really have a choice at that age. So I learned that I got love and approval and acceptance and money by being that person, by doing those things. So that's what I continued to do. And learning that, becoming aware of that, of, oh my gosh, I'm so unhappy. I hate doing this. This actually wasn't what I would have chosen. I had to let it all go. I had to undo all of that and create something new that's actually in alignment with who I am, who I want to be, with beliefs that are more adaptive, that are healthier. So from the outside, I think it definitely looked like, you don't know what you're doing. You're bouncing around to different jobs. Yeah, that was true, because they were all low paying. They like, they weren't growing. I had to try something new. And I also tried a lot of like side hustles, because I had the experience of owning my own private practice. I used to have a babysitting and house sitting business, in college and in high school. So having a business, I knew I liked, but I also didn't know what new business to create. I didn't have any capital, so it had to be something I could create for free. So it was a lot of experimenting, which I didn't really do that much experimenting when I was younger, because I just have been doing this my whole life, pretty much. So underneath all those external events, and by external events, I mean job hopping, losing relationships, losing family, etc. Underneath all of that, I was rebuilding myself. And like I mentioned before, unlearning the things that that were very maladaptive in my life, that were unhealthy. Previously, I used to believe that if I had invested so much already, I should keep investing and try to make it work. Like, I shouldn't quit. I shouldn't give up. Don't be a quitter. Make it work. And I tried that for years and it didn't work. If I had built it, I should stay. If I worked hard for it, I should keep working hard for it. I don't believe that anymore. That just because I learned something and spent years working on it, whether it was a relationship, a career path, whatever, it doesn't mean that I'm required to spend the rest of my life living in it. No, not the case. And leaving counseling was definitely a lesson and an example of that. And even though I cared deeply about my clients, I could not keep self-sacrificing for them, because that's essentially what I was doing. I was living and working in a way that pleased other people, that met other people's needs ahead of my own. Okay? And that lesson started showing up everywhere in my life, along with others. So I stopped believing that to earn love, that I have to people please others, that I have to put myself last, that everybody else's opinion about my life carries more weight than my own. Absolutely not. But that's how I used to live my life. I used to live my life believing that if I misstep, if I do what speaks to me, what I want, what I believe, that I'm going to experience emotional abandonment, that I'm not going to get love, that I'm not going to get approval, that I'm not going to get money, that I'm not going to be chosen. I was very codependent, essentially. And now, friends, family, gurus, people on the internet, all those people come after me. My opinion about my life comes first. And that's how it should be for everybody, because nobody else is living your life. You're the only one living your life with your experiences, with your belief system, with your vision for the future, for how you want to live your life. So that was something that was definitely, that was a hard learning lesson. And I couldn't learn it around those people that expected me to stay in that role. I had to get away from those people. I had to say, nope, I'm not doing that role anymore. And listen to myself. And it wasn't just like one time listening to myself. It was years of practicing that, of practicing listening to myself and making a choice, not talking to about my choices, not talking to other people about my choices, and making sure that I'm choosing based on me. And that's something I still have to be very careful about, that when I'm making a choice about something, I need to get to a place where I am clear about my choice before I share it with anybody. And I only share it with somebody after I'm confident that I'm not changing my mind on the choice. So I don't really like ask people for advice anymore. I used to really seek out outside advice of like, am I okay? Is this choice okay? I remember even actually at family vacations, one of my aunts, there was this one time we were all getting lunch and I had to ask, I'm like, oh, what are you getting? What are you getting? What are you getting? Because I didn't even know if what I was going to order for food was acceptable. Like if I was making the right menu choice. Oh, isn't that so sad? I'm laughing, but so sad. That's how I used to be. And now I'm vegan, and now I'm very clear on what I want to eat and what I don't want to eat. So let me look at my notes because I went off topic. Okay, not listening to other people, listening to myself about my own opinions, about my own life. Let's see. Okay, I also became unwilling to stay in relationships simply because we've known each other for a long time. If the relationship is not healthy, reciprocal, supportive, like an emotionally safe place for me to be, then I'm not going to be in it. Those are deal breakers. If they're not that, I'm out. Because essentially, I was in too many relationships that were draining to me. And they were draining to me because I had learned to people please and keep myself small and not do what I needed, to not take care of my own needs. I was sacrificing my needs for them so that I could get belonging and love and approval and acceptance. Dang, man, what a shitty place to be in relationships. It's awful. So I no longer live that way because it was unhealthy. It was maladaptive. And let's see, I stopped putting myself last. And I also allowed myself to be louder in who I am. Let's see. I have allowed myself to be myself, to not keep editing myself and making myself small. So some examples. When I was in, oh gosh, I don't remember. I don't know. When I was a counselor, I don't remember what year, what time it was. When I was a counselor, I had learned through my ethics class, in my master's in counseling, and then in continuing education classes, and in talking to other therapists, consulting, that if I, say, went to a public place, an event, and I saw other clients there, I was taught that the ethical thing to do is that I am supposed to leave that event so that I maintain the therapeutic relationship so that I can help the client in session back when we're in the office. So essentially, I learned to give up living my own life outside of work because a client might see. And I also had all of this fear that if a client saw me doing something in the world, that they would then call the board to report me that I'm unprofessional or something, and then I would lose my license. So at that point, I was afraid to lose my license because I had worked so hard and I had thought this is what I was supposed to do and who I was supposed to be. And so then I just stayed small. I would go club dancing with my friends, but I would be afraid to dance with people because I was afraid that a client would see me and think that that was unprofessional. And then I remember going to a heels dance class, and the instructor had hired a videographer, and she had all these cool red lights set up in the background. And we'd all signed these waivers. We were all really excited. And right when they were going to film, I panicked and I was like, no, I can't do this. I can't have this showing up on the internet somewhere and a client seeing it and them thinking I'm unprofessional. So I didn't do it, and I felt horrible for not doing it. And I also felt so stressed about girl, why did you even take this class? And dance was the thing that helped me to survive listening to trauma all day long. And yet, even when I went to go dance, I felt like I couldn't dance. So it was literally sucking the life out of me, being a therapist. And let me see here. So this sounds when I say it out loud now, it sounds very unrealistic. There's no way you can't not live your life just because somebody might see you. But that's literally what was taught. And I remember talking to friends and consulting and being I went to this event and I want to post it on my Facebook, and do you think that'll be okay? And my Facebook is private. And some therapists never share anything ever online. They have a generic photo for their profile picture. They have a different name. It's super, super private. And I could not live like that. I just felt so restricted, I was trapped in a cage. And I was always so concerned about how somebody else would interpret me living, me being myself, me doing anything that wasn't perfect or professional or meeting somebody else's needs. So after years of editing myself, hiding pieces of myself, today I live very differently. Today I take up more space. I dance. I put all my dance stuff on the internet. Not because I need anybody to approve it, but because it feels good to me, because I like doing it. I think it's fun. I like, dressing up in different outfits, curling my hair, putting on makeup, looking cute in my little dance videos. That's really fun for me. That gives me life. That gives me energy. It's fun. Counseling was not like that. So this is me. This is who I am versus before I was hiding and stuffing who I was. So something going forward, I don't want to have another chapter of my life where I am hiding who I am, where I'm stuffing it down, where I'm editing myself to make other people feel comfortable. And something interesting about these victories, like these are quiet victories. Like I don't think anybody else can really see this change in me, except for my closest girlfriends that know how I was before versus how I am now. Like if I'm telling them a story about something that happened in my life, they can clearly say like, oh, Corinne 5 years ago would have done this, but Corinne now is doing it a different way. Like my closest friends can see that, but I don't think most people in my life know this or can see this. So if you're going through something like this, I guess I just want to validate it's not just you. Like these are quiet victories, they're internal shifts. Maybe some people can applaud you and celebrate you, like close friends that you share everything with. But life, I have found, will start to celebrate you and give you better things the more you change and grow internally. So before, internally, I was a people pleaser, I was codependent, and that's what I got more of in my life. Like I got friendships where I was codependent, where I was people pleasing. Like it just kind of repeated everywhere in my life. But now that I'm not, now that I, have more self-worth, I have, sorry, my leg is itchy. Not sorry, that was habit. Not sorry, my leg is itchy, that's why I'm bending over. So as you change, life reflects that back to you in new ways. So if you're no longer codependent, you're going to attract relationships that don't require you to be codependent. You're going to, attract people that respect boundaries because they also have boundaries. Things like that. Let me see. Let me look at my notes. Quiet victories, internal. I already talked about that. Okay. So these internal shifts, these past 7 years, are my biggest victories. They are not things that you would like generally put on a resume, right? Like typically resume things are like, oh, I did this big project and here's my portfolio, and then I got this job and I made them this much money by making their systems more efficient or whatever. So these are not like resume builders per se, but they are Corinne builders. they're building me as a person. And from the outside, it looked like a big mess. It looked like, I don't know what I'm doing. It looks like I'm going every which way, like I'm a crazy person. But really what was happening is I was reorganizing. I was integrating. I was unlearning and learning new things. So I'm not trying to rebuild the life I had. No, because that life was shit. I didn't like it. It was horrible. Now I am building a life that's aligned with who I am, where I can be myself, where I am creating work that gives me energy, that gives me more life instead of draining me. I'm creating a life where relationships are healthy, they are reciprocal, they are supportive, where I'm creating more than I'm consuming, where curiosity and growth matters more than certainty. Like before, I wouldn't do things unless I knew the outcome, like I knew it was going to be successful. I knew there was a lined up path. And the reason for that is because I was codependent, because I was taught that my way of thinking, my ideas, they're wrong. And so because I didn't trust my own thoughts, I always had to get external validation. So if somebody didn't have a path laid out for me, then I wasn't going to do it. So now I'm different. Like right now, I'm making these YouTube videos. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I don't know if it's going to be successful, but you know what? I'm doing it anyway. Why? Because I like it, because it gives me energy, because it's fun, because it gives me more freedom, because it's in alignment with what I like to do. And what else? Let's see. I'm building a life where my worth is no longer measured by how useful I can be to somebody else or how comfortable I can make other people. And yeah, those are like the main lessons I feel like I have learned, and the things that I have changed about myself and about my life over these last 7 years. So when people wonder or ask, what have you been doing these last 7 years? This is the truth. This is what I've been doing. The first 4 years, I was heavily focused on gaining stability in my own body. The last 3 years have been more focused on getting back to myself, being stable and secure, self-assured in myself, in my mental body, and my way of thinking. And those two things are not the same, they're different. And yet I need both to be able to fully express and live in a way that is unique and aligned and authentic to me. So that's what these YouTube videos are going to be about. Probably over a variety of different topics. I love to learn. If you've been watching my like shorts and reels that I've been posting, it's been about like taking care of my skin, my face, doing face exercises. I've been doing mobility exercises for the rest of my body. I've been doing hair oil treatments. So that too has been an important thing for me, because as a counselor too, I spent so much of my energy like giving to other people, whether I was actually in session or if I was, you know, with friends or with family. My energy was always focused on other people, not really on myself. So focusing on taking care of me, dancing, learning new things, it'll be an adventure. So if you could like this video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I would love to hear in the comments what's an internal shift that you made that was like a quiet victory for you, that maybe wasn't observable to other people, but that was a quiet victory that you had. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.